At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome to episode number 2 of the Jake Nulph Show. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake here in Edinburgh. Certainly excited to be here. Season number 2 of the show, episode number 2 of this season. You play up FCS opponent, Coach. You kind of knew what you were getting into. The skill level in college, everybody's got it. Everybody was really good in their high school team. That's the way it works. But when you start climbing the rungs of the ladder, the athleticism just picks up a little notch or two. And right out of the gate, early on, the pick six, second play, Garnes, the safety, in what felt like one step, went from the hash to outside the numbers, and then in the third step across the goal line for a touchdown. That was right out of the gate. We sort of got eyes on, okay, we've got some guys, but they've got a lot of guys, and you're gonna need to play really well today.
Yeah, and first and foremost, I want to thank the Fighting Scott faithful for their attendance on Saturday. I mean, Joe, you saw it was a great atmosphere. We had a lot of families and friends there. So from that standpoint, we got early. We wanted to take the football. In the second play, you're 100% right. Garnes, and it's funny, in pregame, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Darnell Richardson, who's the DB coach, and he made the comment to me that you would really like 8, and he's a special player, and literally he's inside the hash on this particular play. We had the look. Matt made the correct read and throw, and from 0 to 60 with no wasted motion, he almost overruns the throw, turns his body, contorts, catches it, hits stride, and goes right out of the gate for the touchdown. But from there, it happened. I felt like our team did a really good job hitting the reset button. We had a little momentum going offensively. We had to punt the football. And, Reed hit a 57-yard punt in the air. And Gage Galushka made one of the better plays I've ever seen in punt coverage, literally closing and tackling to get Duquesne pinned deep. I thought our defense had a great start. We ended up going 3 and out, exactly like, that was the plan. They started out fast. So we get the ball on the punt return at midfield, down a possession early. We got a little momentum, and then unfortunately, another great play by Duquesne on the second pick. I thought, again, it was the right read for our quarterback. Whether there was a little bit of handsiness, from the corner, but Tim Lowry, the safety, made a tremendous play again. And unfortunately, we got a little behind the 8 ball. We always emphasize the turnover game and how important it was, and we've been talking about it ad nauseum in the offseason. But they play too, Joe, and they practice as well, and their guys made plays. The thing that would be concerning for me is in these turnovers that were created on Saturday, if we were making the wrong reads and the wrong throws, that wasn't the case. The first 2 interceptions that were thrown were the right read, were the right throw. Duquesne just made tremendous plays. And as a coach and as players and as guys that do this, you tip your hat to them, and we just continue to move forward. So tough
we even said in the broadcast that that's a pick 6 this week, but the next 10 weeks, that might be a touchdown the other way.
Yeah, it very well could be. And again, and that's a credit to Duquesne and their staff and their preparation. And look, we told our guys from the get-go, and we say this every week, it's not just a special thing for Duquesne, is guys are going to make plays. The biggest thing is how are we going to respond, and are we going to make plays that match their big plays? And I think that we did make a lot of splash plays in all 3 phases. It's just it wasn't – unfortunately for us, they made a lot more than we did.
Well, I was just going to say that we talked ad nauseum, and I mean nauseum. The turnover margin is a problem. We know that. Everyone knows that. Probably the equal problem was last year you didn't make enough splash plays. Yeah. Now, this week, the numbers statistically were moved because they made more splash. There was negative 79 rushing yards.
Off of 6 sacks.
Off of 6 sacks.
Yeah.
So, it depends on how deep you want to go. But Carlisle made big plays. AHOP, you had, I want to say, 8 15-plus plays. Yeah. And how many times did you do that last year? No. And again, this is a better opponent. So you can't look at it and just say, oh, the numbers are the numbers. Well, yes, the numbers are the numbers, but you did something that we specifically talked about needing to do. And, 8 15-plus yard plays, That's pretty good.
Absolutely. And that's the nice thing is, again, so opening ball game, and we want to get in rhythm on offense. And unfortunately, some of the turnovers, they happened. The response by our guys was really the biggest thing. We kept fighting. And when you go down 21 in the first quarter, it's really easy to sit there and go, woe is me, and here we go. But we didn't do that. And, we popped a long run with Trobel down the left sideline. And the unfortunate part is, Gabe Holslander, our all-conference left tackle, unfortunately suffered an injury which kept him out of the game. And, next guy up mentality, we didn't blink. We threw a couple of nice balls to Aaron Hopkins, one in particular on the touchdown drive in the third quarter. Thad had a couple really nice splash plays. Mike Watkins come open a couple. We were in rhythm. I thought Matt ran the ball tremendously. We were running a little bit of option. On the one in particular, they brought 2 out of the boundary edge, which from Duquesne's defensive coordinator days at Cal, we were ready for that. And he made a tremendous read on the pull pitch right away, and Thad busted out for one of those splash plays that you're talking about. So it wasn't all doom and gloom there. The thing is, Joe, and everyone, and I'll be honest, I speak from the heart and I tell the truth is, everyone's like, why, Coach, why? Why play the paid game? Why play the FCS game? Play the D2. Play the regional game. Regional playoff rankings. That's in the Division II world. But most of my career in coaching and playing obviously was in the FCS level. We've been to Hawaii. We've played UMass, Georgia Southern, James Madison, you name it. Those games got us ready to compete and ultimately win conference championships. So that game on Saturday was an opportunity for our guys to compete, play obviously the next level. But the last time I checked right now on our schedule, we have 3 top 20 teams in PSAC play ready to go. That's what we're doing. We are trying to build for a championship mentality and a championship program. So if we're going to play up the Duquesnes, that's exactly what we want to do because it's going to get us ready for Shepherd. It's going to get us ready for the other conference opponents that are ranked. And our guys are open to that challenge. Unfortunately, Saturday, we come out on the wrong side of it. There is a lot more positive for us to learn on the losing side of this game. And it's funny, you asked me that question last week. You're like, hey, Coach, building blocks, do you learn more from wins and losses? I can tell you that there's not one guy in our program that's happy about the results on Saturday. We need to look in the mirror, and that was the conversation in the team meeting yesterday. And we're focused. We had a great practice on Monday. We had a really good practice in some tough conditions today. We're excited about the opportunity to go.
Of course, the other thing would be is you talk about the splash plays, and not to take anything away from anybody that you may face down the road, but the Parentis kid threw two touchdown passes that I'm not sure are touchdowns in the PSAC because that was unbelievable athleticism, eluding 3 would-be tacklers, and then they throw it up to a 6'4", 215-pound guy in the back of the end zone.
Right.
Yeah, and
again,
a
perfectly placed ball.
Perfectly placed ball.
Yeah, and there's things coaching that, obviously we talk to our guys, and a lot of those things are self-inflicted, and we're real when we have conversations. But, yeah, that is a quarterback that started the majority of the 2021 season, played a lot in the 22 season. He's got some miles on his tires. He's extremely athletic. I knew that he had some arm talent, Joe, but he has legitimate arm talent. The whole shot that he threw in our 3-deep coverage on the second or third series between our safety and the overhang, anticipation, knew exactly where to go with the football, on a rope. Those are things that savvy veteran quarterbacks make. So facing that in week 1, again, we're excited about the future and what we're going to play week 2, 3, et cetera. But, yeah, the kid is a tremendous player. He's got a lot of experience. And, that, to me, those coachable moments for our young men and our football team, when you see it happen that fast, it's only going to make us better in the long run.
You talk about that sort of athleticism. I think I thought Trobel really presented himself well.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know. I didn't know that he was a two-trick pony. I thought he was just I'm going to make you miss and run around you. I was impressed. He and Carlisle, they were not scared of contact.
No,
now I don't know. I don't know how much. I feel like I'm a Bills fan watching Josh Allen out there all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of game
you got two guys that can run the football, and they're not afraid to run between the tackles.
Well, we saw that with Matt in the spring, Joe. He really is a guy that. He's got some wheels, and you can see he can get 0 to 60 quick on you, but he's a big kid. He's a physical kid. He prides himself on being a guy that's in great shape. And in the weight room, you notice him. I mean, he's legitimately 200 to 225 pounds. And seeing him in the run game and then seeing him make the decisions and the right reads at that speed in the run game was very beneficial. And, look, we saw in training camp, Joe, Brian Trobel is not a one-trick pony because he runs with great forward lean, and he'll run you over and he'll run around you. And our guys that play for us here on defense will tell you, you better get ready to drop the hammer on him because he'll drop it on you.
Yeah, he certainly is a guy that can plant a foot on the ground and change direction. We saw that a couple of times. And that's our last thought. I know we're in the waning moments. But in terms of physicality, I think the most impressive takeaway that we can come from a lopsided loss, how many negative plays that weren't.
Yeah.
Think about last year, how many times you're scratching your head up against it on 2nd and 13, whereas on Saturday, Trobel, at least on 3 or 4 separate occasions, turned 2nd down and 14 into 2nd down and 7, and he had no business doing it, and it keeps you on schedule.
Well, the other thing, too, is we dialed up a play where, Coach DeMeo went into the archives, and we were going to run a reverse pass and flip it back to Matt. And, again, their overhang, the backside player did a great job looking ahead and actually got on top of Armani Bailey. And Armani's savvy legitimately tucked the ball, made 2 guys miss, and got us actually 4 yards into something that could have been a disaster. So those are the type of things that, yeah, you look at it, but that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. But it was a tremendous play by him.
Yeah, lots of hidden yards. And, again,
how about the kickoff returns?
It didn't count.
Well,
the one that didn't count was really good.
Again,
but Thad was.
I'm not going to be an official there, but
Thad was explosive.
We popped the one down to the 20. The penalty was called. We got to live with that. We'll coach it up. But the one where he broke 3 tackles
on your sideline,
on our sideline
to
get down to the 35 was just a tremendous individual effort by him. So there were a lot of guys selling out and a lot of guys that made plays.
All right, Aaron Hopkins will join us.
Big A-Hop.
When we
number
come
11
back,
in your program, number 1 in your hearts.
The great orator, as we like to call him. Aaron Hopkins will join us. It's the Jake Nulph Show. We're here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake in Edinburgh.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Back here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, the Jake Nulph Show, week 2, 1 week in the books. Aaron Hopkins, kind enough to join us. I don't want to say the lone bright spot because I don't think it's. But obviously, when you only get 1 touchdown, you were the beneficiary of that touchdown. But when you watch the film, because I know Mr. Hartung and myself on the way back, and again, generally speaking, 49-7, it's not what you were after. But I think there is more positives, and my enthusiasm for this season is not impacted at all by the outcome on Saturday. What did you feel, boots on the ground, real time? Did you think, like, what are we doing here, or were you thinking like, man, we need another step?
I mean, I looked at it as like of course it's an FCS school, and like Coach Nulph said, it's only going to get us ready for the tough opponents that we played that are nationally ranked in this league. And I feel like we did do a lot of good things. I mean, they made a lot of good plays, but like it's FCS, it's just different. So like, I think like I wasn't really like shocked at what happened. I was just like, we just got to take it, we got to learn from it, and we got to move on and use what we learned for the next week and the weeks coming up.
Now, I think the one thing that whether it's offensive or defensively, the pursuit of some physicality. I think the other thing is I don't really feel like you got beat up. Like, I mean, I think they had some guys that made some plays, and that was the outcome of the game. I don't think at any point you were bullied.
No,
I mean, I was impressed with I thought you guys on both sides of the line of scrimmage held up at the point of attack pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, they were physical, of course, but they weren't just so dominant to where we couldn't do anything about it. Like, we got guys that are strong. We got guys that are physical. You could definitely tell, like, the physical difference, but I didn't feel like it was too different to where they were just dominating us and just, like, putting us in the dirt. I didn't feel that way, so – yeah, we weren't getting beat up. I don't think so.
Now, it's been like 54 weeks or something like that since we last sat down and had this conversation. Now that you've got a year under your belt, you know, where in terms of where you are, in terms of now knowing what the grind of this league is, I mean, do you have a better sense of where you need to work on your game, maybe where you need to be more disciplined, maybe where you need to get stronger?
Oh, 100%. I feel like individually I could work on, like, my ball skills and mainly blocking. Blocking's been a problem with me for a little bit, but after that year, like, I see how I have to approach these players. Like, they're coming, so, like, I have to come too with full force. And yeah, I just got to really work on my speed, my ball skills, and my blocking. And as, like, for a team, like, I feel like I got the team's trust now, so now we could grind together and I could lead them in the way that I want to lead them.
Now, I'm curious to get your perspective because we've talked about this before. Chunk plays were an issue last year. You've got Trouble, and now you've got Matt Carlisle willing to run the football. How much easier do you think those chunk plays are going to be coming this year? Again, I think especially if you include special teams. Now that I'm thinking in real time, I want to say that's 11 15-plus yard plays. If you're making 11 15-plus yard plays every week, you're going to win football games.
Well, I know for a fact that we have dudes everywhere. I mean, we got the outside receivers and Thad and Mike, crazy. Mont, great player. Trouble, great player. Our 2 running back is a great player. Like, we just got dudes all over the place. So the chunk plays are going to come easy for us. I believe so.
Now, I go to practice a lot and, watch you guys work. And is there – I mean, there's – I feel that you hold up your end of the deal. We call it, being an orator. Some would call it trash talking. Now, you've got some guys on the other side of the ball that like to trash talk as well. Is that something that you guys try to prep one another for so you're not prepared for that situation when it comes in a game?
Yeah, I mean, that's just – sometimes I just get a little, like, I don't know.
So practice is practice for everything for the game, right?
Yes, yes. Gotcha. Practice is practice. And, like, in the game, I don't talk trash at all. It's really just for my teammates to get my teammates into it, get them hyped up. Because if they see me hype and stuff, they're going to get hyped too. So it's really just to get my teammates ready and get them going and get them hyped. So, yeah.
The greatest improvement typically comes from week 1 to week 2. Now that you've had time to digest it, you know where you're at. You understand. You've got your list. What as a football team, as an individual, what do you have to carry into next week with Shepherd? Obviously, no slouch. They've lost a ton, but they're still pretty doggone good.
I just think we just got to approach this week differently. Like, at practice today, I was on the guys – like, a lot today, like making sure that they run to the ball, just have a sense of urgency or be physical. We just got to come at this game different than we did last game because, no, they're no slouch. I mean, honestly, they're probably no different than Duquesne. So I feel like we just got to come out just hot and punch them first. And once we punch them first, we'll be good.
Now, does it matter to you that you've played them last year? Now granted, they're different. But is there anything that you can individually sort of gain from that just because you played them last season?
Yeah, I mean, you watch film, you watch last year's game, you see some of the tendencies that they like tend to leave open or whatever. Like, last year we hit the flats a lot. They're probably going to prepare for the flats. So individually I have to find ways to get open and like, yeah, find ways to get open and make plays because the plays that I made last year against Shepherd, they're going to take away. They're going to watch film. And they're going to watch the Duquesne game and see how involved I am. So no matter what I do, individually, I have to just find ways to get open, find ways to get the ball, find ways to impact the game and impact the team.
Aaron Hopkins, A-Hop, as they call him, kind enough to join us as we are rolling along. Coach Nulph will jump back in the fray as we will talk about those Shepherd Rams. I appreciate the time, Aaron. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Jake Nulph when we come back.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back. Jake Nulph Show here. We're at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. The Shepherd Rams.
Yes, number 14 in the country, Shepherd Rams.
Pretty good. Now, Arnie McCook has been at it for a long time. That's a great program. New players. We joke that they lost more first-team All-Americans than Georgia last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tyson Bagent is QB2 with Chicago.
And we're really happy for that.
I mean, they got a lot. Yeah, it's good for business. Really.
My interactions with Tyson, and then obviously with Coach McCook, and look, first-class people. Tyson is a guy that still he has the passing record in all of football for passing touchdowns. So there's a big hole to fill at quarterback for them. But let me tell you something. Seth Morgan, the kid from VMI, I know it was his first start on Saturday. He has some Tyson tendencies.
Well, 5 plays, 61 yards, 59 seconds to win the game. That's a pretty good place to start.
You can tell he's extremely comfortable in the offense. And, they have weapons, if you wouldn't know, he does a lot of really good things. Tremendous arm velocity. He's athletic. He can run. His pocket presence. The decision-making, I thought that was one thing from Tyson last year when we got an opportunity to play down at Shepherd. And unfortunately for me in 2019 when I was coaching at IUP and Tyson threw a strike in the back of our end zone to beat us in the first round of the NCAA playoffs. But watching his command and the decision-making and how fast, Joe, it came out, Seth's got those same type of tendencies, and he's literally been there spring and training camp. So you can tell he's been around all summer. He knows where he's going with the football, spits it out, and, they're rolling.
Now, obviously, we talk about Bagent. Joey Fisher's an NFL caliber tackle.
Yeah, he's with the Steelers right now on their practice squad.
Ronnie Brown.
Dynamic.
Could almost be confused with Auburn's Ronnie Brown. One of the best that I've ever seen in this league. That's a big deal to replace, but they got another Brown, Malachi Brown. He's pretty good as well.
Yeah, and the thing that I like about Malachi is he has some similar tendencies from Ronnie Brown. He's got a really great first initial move, but when he runs behind his pads, he drops it on you. He's a physical style runner, but he can slash you. He's not unlike Trobel. He's not a one-trick pony. He's going to make you tackle him physically, and then he's going to try to embarrass you and break your ankles. So, they're very capable. This is the number 14 team in the country. Jeremiah Taylor is a guy that's out of Fairmont State as a transfer. I know about him because he's Thad's buddy from high school. He had a tremendous first game for them. He's long. He's all of 6'2". He can run the go ball. The yak is there. I mean, yes, they lost a lot of players, but they did a tremendous job as a staff in recruiting and replacing those guys. And then where do I start on defense, Joe?
They got a lot of guys. And then that was the thing is that, like, last year it was all, and warranted. Bagent earned it, but they were good defensively. They were really good defensively.
They keep it simple. They are very good at what they do. And they fly around and smack you. And that's a compliment to the Coach McCook and his staff is they do things the right way. They are athletic. They have playmaking ability in all three phases, and I'll talk about their special teams here in a second. But defensively, that's a group that's got 3 of the 4 back in the secondary. Their 2 linebackers are extremely long and active. I look at Harold O'Neal, and watching him in the regional final against IUP, Joe, he made a one-handed interception in the red zone to turn that game around for them. Their front is very big. They're long. They're 6'3", 270 almost across the board. Again, there is a reason that these guys are ranked 14th in the country. They have pedigree. we're excited about the opportunity. I felt like in last year's football game, take the splash plays out of it defensively was from Ronnie Brown. I thought we did a really good job early in that football game. We had an interception the first series. Our Achilles heel last year was we were 0 for 6 in the red zone. We moved the ball very well between the 20s. We just couldn't score. Learning lessons from lessons past. And our week 1 opponent is now clearly size and speed going to get us ready for the Shepherd football team coming here on Saturday. We are ready for this challenge. This is a game that, we're excited to play at home because we know that Super Region 1's champion is coming here in the Sox Harrison Stadium. From a special team standpoint, Joe, they got a freshman punt returner that is extremely dynamic. You're talking about a 14-7 Southern Connecticut winning on last Saturday, and he takes a punt 86 yards to the house. And when I tell you he's got go-go juice, he can flat out fly. And he broke guys' ankles. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he had a tremendous day. He had to have 100+ in that area where we're going to have to be on our details.
Now, you mentioned special teams. I was sort of surprised that Duquesne continued to kick to Thad. But when you talk about, you said red zone, which, again, that was, the turnovers, lack of chunk plays, red zone would probably be a close third as to how you fix that. Does the chunk plays, and it basically is just a little extra spark, right?
Yeah, because they give you momentum.
But does that carry over maybe into the red zone?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was the thing where the disappointing part about Saturday, and look, you can look at the numbers and the stats, and that, those are certainly important. Duquesne was 5 for 6 in the red zone, but we had 2 penalties down there that kept drives going on just self-inflicting. And I can tell you the 2 individuals that committed those penalties, and they're going to get better from it. Offensively, we were 0 for 0 in the red zone because we had a 33-yard touchdown pass to Hop in the third quarter where we need to get into that area and show that we've learned lessons from lessons past and have the opportunity to score. Look, if we throw 80-yard touchdown passes and we score a lot of points, you'll never hear me say, Joe, we need to get in the red zone. But that was an area on Saturday from a preparations, we just didn't have the opportunity down inside the 20.
Now, we talk about schedule all the time, down and distance.
Yeah.
We know how good this Shepherd team can be. That's a great win to start the year. First down's always important, but I feel like when a game that you're theoretically trying to play keep away, being on schedule on first down has got to be priority number 1, right?
Absolutely, and that's the thing where, look, I don't care who you are, and we look at Duquesne was extremely efficient Saturday as far as staying on schedule, and I know Anthony Doria prides himself on that as a play caller. When we got Duquesne in 3rd and long, Joe, they didn't convert. When they were in 3rd and manageable, they obviously you have a better percentage. We cannot live in 3rd and long anywhere, any team across the country, because then you can pin your ears back and pass rushers take over and you can drop coverage and you dictate terms. So this week, and we talked about it as a staff on Monday, about being efficient defensively on 1st and 2nd down so we can get teams in 3rd and long, and then the ability to stay on schedule and move the sticks. I wish Saturday against Duquesne we would have been in a little more 3rd and short, 4th and short, because when we did, you saw on the 4th down conversion, we were 1 for 1. We had 4th and 1. We went for it, got the first down, and we continued to go. The reason I bring that up is Shepherd is an opponent that loves being in 3rd and short, and they're going to go, regardless on the field, and they're going to make you play 4 downs. So we've got to be ready to defend for 4 straight downs, but we also got to give ourselves the opportunity to make them defend for 4 straight downs.
Yeah, of course, obviously special teams is always big. I mean, I was disappointed that you didn't necessarily have a play up your sleeve because there wasn't really an opportunity.
Well, there you go.
There was one that I'm sure you maybe thought about in the second half.
They did a good job. They didn't give us any of that.
Yeah, and so we are We are here to please the people. We got to give the people what they want.
Right.
Everyone's favorite game on the Jake Nulph Show. The 2 reasons you win, the 2 reasons you lose.
You know, and you do a great job in serving these up for me on the tee box. I know golf is an extremely important game in your, in your hobbies and pastimes, but staying out of 3rd and long and getting shepherded into 3rd and long, that would be the number 1 reason. And then splash plays. They have the ability to big play you. We have to have the same ability to counter that. So the 2 areas why we're going to win is if we create more splash plays than they do, and then if we can get them in 3rd and long and stay out of 3rd and long, I really like our chances on Saturday.
Certainly, it's going to be an awesome environment, and hopefully we get a bunch of people there. I did want to ask you, now that you're sort of, I don't want to say stable, but things are normal now. And
As far as class schedules.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, is this, am I crazy for the optimism? Because
No.
when Hartong and I were driving back, talking, it was not 49. It was not doom and gloom. I think there is a lot of, it's not being a homer. I do think there is a lot to be excited about.
Joe, I can honestly tell you that you do a great job. You ask me really tough questions every week, and I appreciate that because you're not a homer. You call a spade, and it's good to hear you say that. Look, the ability to learn from our mistakes and have a faster start. Clearly, I mean, look, anybody can see that.
Yeah,
I'm not pointing out the obvious, but there's a lot of positives from Saturday's game. There's also a lot of things that we did that are self-inflicting, that are correctable. If we were sitting in a situation where I felt like we were outmanned, we were outnumbered, we don't match up, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case here. They made a lot of really good plays. Hats off to them. I felt like we'd left some things out on the table. Week 2 is another opportunity for us to get better and prove ourselves. And, I said this 2 years ago, this Edinburgh job in the Fighting Scott family, the PSAC, you get an opportunity to play big time Division II football. It's not that far off from the FCS. And that's what I wanted our guys to see on Saturday. Now, rolling the first of how many ranked opponents we're going to see this year. This is a great league. There are a lot of really good players. I know we've got a lot of really good players. But, Joe, we have to come out and prove that on Saturday, or all this is just lip service.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to it. Airtime on the Fighting Scots Radio Network presented by ErieInjury.com is 11, the kickoff set for high noon. And really looking forward to Coach McCook. If nothing, I mean, Shepherd is fun, and they're good, and they're not a flash in the pan. This is who they are. They've been this for, the better part of 15 years at this point.
No doubt.
They have been the thorn in the side of the PSAC champion for years. Now they just get to be a thorn in the side sooner because they're in the league, and we're certainly excited for the home opener, and hopefully you'll be able to make it out to Sox Harrison Stadium. I appreciate the time, Coach.
Hey, thank you, Bill Carell and the rest of the Charlie staff for having us. Really looking forward to having the Jake Nulph Show here for the next however many weeks we're going to do this. Plus, always thank you, Fighting Scott Nation. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Craig Butler, our SID, for setting this up. And always, go Burrow.
All right. 15, he's on his feet, 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.